there, welcome to Storytime with Ellie podcast. And today, our guest is Jason, a 32-year-old man with autism. He will share his insights on navigating adulthood with autism, discussing the unique challenges and feelings of loneliness that often arise. Jason aims to provide gentle guidance to others on the spectrum, encouraging neurodivergent individuals to tackle their social challenges effectively. I can't wait, Jason, to hear your inspiring stories and valuable insights. So let's welcome Jason Kent. How you doing, Jason?
Hello.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good, and I'm actually 33, by the way. I turned 33 back in May, so
33. Oh, I think, you know, wait, hold on, let me change this. Wait, let me move this up.
yeah,
It's right. Wait, you're the only one that would sit there and say, "Oh no, I'm a year older." I'd be like, "No, I'm 30 years younger. What's wrong with you?" Must have planned this
yeah.
30
I
years
mean, I
ago. No,
could.
it's all right. No, at your age, we don't care about that. Because once you hit
Yeah,
40,
no.
that is like, wait a minute, what happened? So welcome to the Storytime with Ellie podcast, Jason. I'm glad you're on here again. Can we say we had a little bit of a niche last time we tried recording and we don't know what happened. But anyway, it was great to
Yeah.
talk to you and got you back here. And this is going to be good stuff. So,
Oh,
would you
yeah.
like to start with tell us a little bit about yourself, Jason? Where you're from? You want to talk about anything like that, or a little warm up?
So, so I am originally born and raised in Aurora, Colorado,
Hmm.
and pretty much been living in Colorado my entire life, as far as I can say. Um, and I wouldn't say that I had that much of an easy upbringing as a child because I was not at all diagnosed with anything throughout my upbringing from my youth,
Mm.
especially throughout grade school years. So I was really picked on. I really could not fit in because I was also taken to a special class because I was a left-handed person, and
Mm.
they just like put me in a separate class from everyone else, and I just felt like more socially isolated because of that.
That's strange because
Um,
you had left. I'm left-handed. I never got to put in a different class.
Well,
I guess
it's
different.
because like
Yeah,
of research. I think it's just like their research thinking that people who are left-handed thinks differently or learns differently.
or
It's
smarter
just like
maybe. Go ahead.
whichever. But I will go into that a bit later.
Okay.
But over the years, even since after I was diagnosed properly in 2009, and
Hmm.
shortly after my first attempt of suicide at the time.
Mm.
Um, but even after diagnosis, I was not given much of a treatment for the next 8 years. By then, I joined the LDS church and had gone through quite a bit of stuff with that. Was in Utah from just 2020 till the end of 2023, where I have also gone through divorce and a lot of hardships.
Mm.
Um, all the way up to like 8 months ago, where I moved back to Colorado, and I have been doing everything I can to get myself back on track and been doing very well with my therapy sessions.
Mm.
That even though like one of my like I used to be a Lyft driver, but I've been removed from the platform from stupid reasons, in my opinion. But I'm not really perturbed by it. I'm just accepting the situation that just happened as it happens, and there's no point in dwelling on it. There's no point in fighting it. It's more or less like I already have more resources coming out for
Hmm.
me at this point in time.
Gotcha. Um, so okay, so you were working for Lyft, so you were doing Lyft driving, and how was that for you? How did you? I mean, I'm sure
Well,
whatever
I
happens
and
going to get straightened out. Let's put it. So let's go back. 'Cause
yeah, we can hope for that. Honestly, I just say like I actually enjoy driving for Lyft.
hmm
It is like I had control of my schedule, and I always had like a certain monetary goal in mind. And I will say, if you really want to teach people financial literacy, have them run the books. Like have them
mm
understand like budgeting and income and earnings just by having them like utilize different budgeting means
hmm
with income and savings. So I really enjoyed that. And I hope to get into more like a career that is more allows me to do stuff like that more than working a regular service or retail since I don't do with
Because I
those.
think it's a socialization. You're meeting new people in the car. You're hearing
Yeah.
their stories. Can you share a story with us? Any stories? And of course, we don't use names. Anything that was interested in your story?
Well, luckily, I don't remember the names of my past writers. I will say
Well, of
that.
course you don't.
But I will say, I can't really specify one, but I will say that because I had a signage behind my headrest, it had
Hmm.
like my little bio, had like my little information. And one of the things I do often, and one of the things I do often listen to is people like talk about what's going on in their lives. One particular writer, I will say, um, he isn't sure what choice he should make. Either he should move back to his home country to be with his girlfriend or his family, or stay here in the States because of a career opportunity.
Hmm.
And and even though like my little sign on the back says I'm planning going back to school for psychology, I was still able to answer what he was looking for at the best of my ability,
Hmm.
which is simply you have to understand there is a consequence and reward for every choice we will be making in our lives.
Absolutely. Hmm.
And whichever, and sometimes there's more rewards than there's consequences, and there's more consequences than there are rewards.
Mm.
They tend to like bounce out each other at some point. And I encourage him to like carefully think about, he has like 2 months to think about what he wants to do for himself. Doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, is what he ultimately wants to do
Mm.
for himself.
The end result. Is that what you're trying to say for him to think of the end result?
Yeah, pretty much the end
Kind of.
result. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, if he does go back to that
Right.
country, or if he does stay, almost the same way. Like, if you've seen the movie Troy with Brad Pitt, when Achilles had to talk to his mother about making a choice about if he should go with the Spartans over to Troy or stay where he is,
Mm.
in which his mother brought up like if he stayed in where he is, he'll be able to have a family and he'll be able to have generation upon generations of his
Hmm.
bloodline, but he will be lost in history. Versus if he were to go to Troy, his name will carry on a legacy. He will become a legend, but he will surely die. So
Mm.
he was given a choice of both options. So that's kind of like what I do when I
Gotcha.
help people. It's like you have to understand whichever one you choose, it's going to give you the results you may not want, but it's going to happen in that regards.
Yeah. So you're an Uber, you're, excuse me, a Lyft driver, and you're also giving therapy. So, I mean, what
Yeah,
better way to get in your car? It's
yeah.
like, you know,
In
you
a
can
way,
make a
it's almost
business
like
out of
if
that.
in a way it's like if you were working as a bartender.
Yeah.
Bartenders
Yeah.
hear the same
And
things that
hairdressers,
people drink
believe
a
me, I
lot.
know. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it's
They
always
know
fun to
everything.
like be that.
Interesting.
Uh yeah, but even
Okay.
then, I also have gotten my results from my psychedelic, not psychedelics, psychological evaluation,
Hmm.
and I have an IQ of 116 in the
Hmm.
86th percentile, which is good to me. And I do have level 2 autism, PTSD, ADHD, and depression. Those are my symptoms.
Wow. Okay. But you're dealing with everything. You're doing well. Did you
Yeah,
start school yet? I know you had mentioned you thought about doing.
I have not started school yet, but
Mm.
because of my evaluation, it's been
Hmm.
submitted to the right places that's going to get me the proper resources I need so I can be able to live off of my own. But one thing I would especially love to find is something that really fits in with my perceptual reasoning, because that is my highest scored item, like 96th
Mm.
percentile, I think it is.
Hmm. Okay.
So it's
Uh,
like I'm able to solve problems so quickly.
yeah, well, see, that's and and they do say that people with autism have almost like a special uh they're they're super smart. That's
Right,
number one. Yeah, that we already know. So it's like, why not utilize all this? Not make it like it's a handicap if it's directed in the
right,
right way. And it seems like you have been doing that. Um,
right. And
of
this
course, you've had
especially,
your challenges, but doesn't everybody?
yes, and this is especially why I do want to help people on a spectrum with,
Hmm.
in terms of like not only like building relationships, like making friends and maintaining it, or building romantic relationships or whatever it is, but also like be able to share my experience with how did I make improvements to get me to where I am, and I'm keeping careful notes as I could go along in my head from what I am learning from my own experience. And
Mm-hmm.
as I continue getting what I want to get going, start rolling out,
Mm-hmm.
then I hope to really like be a proper educator and not one of those people who are like pickup artists or whatever, just like people think they know. But like I'm going into for school for psychology so I can
Yeah.
have evidence of that knowledge.
And I do love that. And I think many people do that. That's why they become coaches or psychiatrists, psychologists. It's their own what they've gone through, and that they want to help other people. And I think that's a great commitment is to, educate yourself to further yourself so you can go on and help other people. And most of the people that come on my podcast, that's kind of the story, with coaching and whatnot. And they all have a
Right.
story. Do you have or if you did, I don't know if we talked about it on this podcast. Did we talk about your story, how you became, s- did you, when you first noticed you had autism? Did we talk
So
about, I
we
didn't,
never really went in depth on that. So
when you were diagnosed?
I was diagnosed 1 month after my initial attempt at suicide, which
Mm,
was in August of 2009 to September. I was properly diagnosed. And as far as I remember, I was just in the room with the psychologist, psychiatrist, whichever it is. And they were asking me questions. I can't really remember what those questions were.
2009. So how old are you? You were
I
not
was 18.
18? 18. I was trying to do the math in my head. 18. Okay, so you were 18. All
Yeah, I
right.
was 18 at the
Yeah.
time. Um, but I remember that the diagnosis was Asperger's at the time. And unfortunately, that when my parents were told that and what the psychiatrists were telling them was not really on point because they think that because now I'm on the spectrum that they have to hold my hand on
Mm,
everything, like tell me where to go in life.
right. And you didn't
And
want
you don't
that.
do that.
Yeah.
No, it's like you don't tell people what to do in life. They make their choices on that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like if you want them to be independent, they need to make their choices and learn from them.
Mm-hmm. So that's
And
your
my parents,
advice. Yeah. Stop coddling them, right?
yeah,
Let them make some
essentially,
just
like
yeah.
let them live with their consequences
Mm-hmm.
and they will learn from those consequences
Mm-hmm.
instead of just like predetermining for them not to make the wrong move.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you tell them not to do something, they will do the opposite. They told me not to join the LDS church, and I did. And do I regret it? Yes. But in a grand scheme of things, it made me better because I know the other side of a lot of things that I was not exposed to,
Mm,
and made me more knowledgeable and understanding about how humans function in different ways.
mm. I got you. You also expressed uh, loneliness
I
in
have.
relationships. Yep. And do
So
you,
I still sometimes have moments where I wish I have someone who I can be with. I do still sometimes have that. It is very hard when I don't know how to make the first move or like how to do a cold approach or whatever it is. So I've had moments where it's just like I felt completely hopeless at times. But I was able to make improvements. Like I got myself off of dating apps because they were making me toxic. Like the whole site wasn't toxic. I was becoming an incel from being on that app, and it's like, no, I don't want that.
well, not everybody that's on those apps, it's very off. So
Yeah.
it's not just that's not something just from you saying that. Everyone has the same
Oh yeah.
opinion of that matter on
Oh
dating
yeah.
sites.
Yeah.
Did you find
And
anybody on that site at all, by any chance?
my ex-wife actually,
Oh, wait, we
my
knew you had a fight.
ex-wife
We knew found somebody. No, oh, it's funny. Yeah, your
but as a
ex-wife. Okay,
yeah,
interesting. So
but
you plucked her
yeah,
off the dating site. You married her.
yeah, we started dating in 2018, and by 2020 we were both in Utah and got married. And it was just like we were just not really ready for our marriage, but we just wanted out of our
Yeah,
families'
I get it.
households.
Hmm.
But unfortunately, it just did not pan out the way that we both would have hoped.
Hmm.
And of course, I can't go into much details on like how
Of
that whole
course
thing
not. Hmm.
panned out, obviously. But but I have, but ever since I returned from Colorado, I have, like, I stopped believing in like all the mainstream religions, but created like my own religious view,
Hmm.
which I'm hoping to actually pinpoint the name, but I haven't really thought of a proper name yet. But I have my own set of philosophy or my own views of being a human in my own interpretation.
Hmm. Interesting. Uh, can you what did can you share an experience where you felt particularly challenged in a social situation and how you handled it? Did you ever have anything where you were?
I would say I have plenty of those, and it's normally in just a crowded space.
Hmm.
Um, like I tried going to like a karaoke bar and then just like a gaming arcade bar,
Hmm.
that's here in Colorado, and both times like I was like getting like I was shifting back to being like how I was thinking in high school in a sense. Whereas
Mm.
like, like the stereotypical high school where there's the prep girls and then we have the jocks and then we
Yeah.
have the nerds and stuff like that. And um I felt like I could not really fit in with any of those groups. So I was like the loner in all of those groups. And as much as I want to fit in, it's like I feel like I am intruding on them.
Do you think this is in your own head? Because I'm going to be honest, looking at you, and I'm just talking because I don't know you, and you were
Fair.
in a bar, I wouldn't take you as different. You know, if anything, sometimes, you may come off if someone looks at you that you're stuck up or something. You may not come up as a, right? I mean,
Right.
and it could be that way too. Maybe you don't come off as, you know, fuzzy
Approachable.
feelings.
Right.
Yeah, approachable. You said a good word. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it could be that. You have a sense
And
of humor. So, I mean, being
well,
authentic and sharing that sense of humor with people when you're in a bar, that'll go a long way.
oh, you have no idea.
I'm just
It's
saying.
like yeah, it's
I got
like
some bar experience.
it's just understood. But unfortunately, like I'm just not a drinker, so that's the
Well,
other
no,
thing.
that's
I just don't
okay.
like drinking.
Yeah.
But other thing is like, yeah, I know it is all in my head.
Yeah. Yeah. Get it out.
Luckily, luckily I love working with my therapist right now. She's
Hmm.
been helping me so much with going undercovering or uncovering a lot of my past traumas, and just like helping me like understand like I am human, but it's just hard for me to recognize what part of me is really that human that
Mm.
people are able to recognize versus what I have developed early on. So I understand like if I do go to those bars or clubs, yeah, it is just all in the mind, but it's just not easy for me to do a cold approach. Like, yeah, you could look gorgeous in your dress or how you do your hair or whatever it is, but I will have a hard time giving you that compliment because it is hard to know the appropriate time for it.
Got you.
It's like
Well, that's
it's hard for me to give compliments.
well, and this is where it depends on exactly where you are, right?
Right.
It has a lot to do with your atmosphere. You're in a grocery store. I mean, I shouldn't say that because people do throw compliments out left and right. So it's not so, and in fact, it's actually definitely a door opener. And I don't mean just for you. I just mean in general. I mean, women too will say, "Oh, that's a nice door. I like those shoes." It's an door opener. And that does help a little bit into, say, when you are in a public place. I mean, I wouldn't, in a group of people yell over to somebody, hey, that's a nice shirt you wear, in the right time. Like somebody walked up to you next to the bar, right? You can, like, if they had something nice on, whatever. It's easier when it's a smaller, approachable person if they come up near you or whatnot. I'm just giving you some ideas. But
Oh yeah.
we can move off of that. So do
Yes.
you do
Okay.
do you do anything with other uh people with on the spectrum? Do you do any kind of group meetings or any kind
So
of
I have not started yet, but
mm,
luckily on my the back of my evaluation has resources for me. Some of them are like group meets
nice.
for people on the spectrum. So it is something I am considering on attending one of them, and hopefully I would do well with it, but it's hard to tell because like part of my trauma is just interact is just unsure of like what it is or is not okay because I have been bitten in the ass for even being the most innocent there is. It's just really hard.
Mm,
But I am going to be going to I'm hoping to get into a group for people on the spectrum
hmm
that I could like be able to interact with and help like socialize better and um, get more into society. But luckily, even these most recent times, I've been just going outside by myself or with my dog,
yeah.
going to a park and walking around 2 miles in 40 minutes every day almost. So
Well,
it's
that's
like,
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm just mostly doing like my own self improvements that
hmm
I recognize that I need to improve. I'm not just going to be like blindly saying that, well, this is who I am and I'm not going to change for anyone else. It's like, this
hmm
is who I am, but I do want to change for myself. So let me fix myself a bit first.
Right.
So it's like, if you want to date yourself, how do you want yourself to look? Everyone
hmm
will keep saying that, but it's like, that's really it. If you want to love yourself, date yourself. If you don't like who you are, then maybe you could try to make yourself different and eventually someone else will take notice of you making yourself different.
hmm Yes, makes sense. Makes sense. And what else could we spin around here? What did we not t touch talk about? What would you also like to share with us, our listeners, about your journey with autism?
um
This
I would say my journey being on a spectrum, it has not really been an easy one, especially since with mine is just a lack of being able to understand social cues, facial expressions,
hmm
or just like having that emotional control, which I do try to, which I have made improvements over time, but it's not, but it's like you're spending a lot of time thinking and questioning and wondering how does something work. Either it could be like a actual physical item like understanding how an engine runs, or it could be like non-physical like how does a human cry or whatever it is.
Your
It's like
thought process goes in deeper than just the average person where we just sit there. We don't actually think like that. I mean,
right.
most of us don't. Um, so what do they suppose like with that? What do you do with those thoughts? Like after you like, I mean, where are
I
you?
um
Yeah, you can
I
say, where are
actually
you
take
going with
interest in,
this? Yeah.
so when I do those stuff like that is, and sorry, I do go askew. This is what my therapist say. Um, what I have gone through with my journey is understanding more about how things work by looking online, doing random research, and you know, including like what can I do for myself and for others. And I'm still figuring out a lot of things even to
hmm
this day. So it's like a lot of these are just like I'm just going at it just because I feel like it's the right thing to do at the moment. So I
mm
can't even describe a lot of things I'm doing, but I
hmm
know exactly what my plan is, especially since I'm very a non-verbal visual thinker. I may not be able to share everything clearly,
hmm
but I know exactly where it is I need to go. And while I have gone through a lot of challenges in my 33 years of life, I'm just glad I have made it this far.
Yes.
And I'm still not going to give up fighting because that's what Stockdale Paradox is. You
Mm,
face the hardest parts of life is the Stockdale Paradox. Everything could be bad, but you don't stop going for what it is you want.
hmm
So it's
You keep
like I hit a crisis, it's not going to stop me.
right. Okay. So you moving forward a little bit here, what's your plans? Do you plan on maybe getting back in with Lyft or another type of
So that
once
is something.
everything gets straightened out?
So I don't plan on driving for Lyft because the cost of gas and maintenance and all that other
Hmm.
stuff, it would just become a harder thing to work with.
Hmm.
But but at least I could be given a better opportunity to look at like job placements that is more within my line of um thinking, which is especially perceptual reasoning, like that problem solving skill.
How do you get
So
a
I'm
job
hoping to
like that? How would one go for that job? If you have autism, how do you apply for a job? What job would you apply for? I mean, you did Lyft, but what other
well that
jobs can you?
that's something that another organization called Developmental Pathways is going to help me with.
Okay.
And I will be able to go through like various sites
Okay.
that'll be able to help me figure out what I want, especially for something that's more visual focused.
Hmm.
Like I'm a visual thinker.
So there's programs for that? Is that what you're in a program?
Oh
So
yeah,
there's
there is
people that may
programs
listen
for
to.
that.
Okay. And what's the name of that program? If somebody says, listen to this, and they know somebody who's on, on Spectrum and they want them to get into mainstream, so to speak, and to get in,
So
what would you recommend for them to do?
so I would recommend they first depending on where they are, they just need to look at
Mm-hmm.
their local programs, and even just typing in keywords like autism or ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you could go on to Psychology Today, where
Mm-hmm.
you could find a psychologist that is within the specific field, specifically for you. They'll be able to give you other ideas for resources. The
Mm-hmm.
one I'm on for Colorado is known as Developmental Pathways, in which it is in the process of being determined based on Medicaid status and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see any reason for why that would be declined. Um, so I would, once I have that, I'll be able to get housing. I will be able to get resources for education
Mm-hmm.
and all the other stuff. So I do emphasize use your local resources, do in-depth research regarding like what it is that you may have. And as much as like I still have some reluctance joining a group, I really do need to join a group. So that's
Yeah.
something I am going to be doing for myself, and I encourage others is to do that. And also go outside for a walk. It's nice to always have the sun on you. It makes you feel better. Just go for a walk, one
Yeah.
hour in
Oh,
the
yeah,
sun.
definitely. I don't care what you got going on. Go for a walk, air yourself out. Do you think virtual groups would be better for you to start with? If you
I
just to get used to being with other people and just jumping in conversations like kind of like we're doing.
uh, if there was another person in our vid chat right now, and they were talking, I'm talking, you're talking, we're all talking, it's just going to be hard to keep track
Okay.
of all the stuff going on because
Okay.
people can talk on top of another.
Yeah, I get
Whereas
it.
in person, at
Mm,
least like I want to be like in person to make it like
mm,
more like a better form of connection, because virtual, it makes sense if like the person is just too far away. Like I have a friend who lives in Poland, but
gotcha.
it doesn't like, it's almost like you're talking to a robot. No one likes
Hmm.
talking to robots.
No. No.
Not yet, because like
Well,
we have
soon it's
AI
coming.
chats. Yeah. And well, it's like that's just going to happen. We've been planning since the 1950s, 70s years later. People are now scared of this. Like, we've been planning it for 70 years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I mean, you kind of went over everything that I was going to ask you. You kind of just spilled it out there. This isn't your first rodeo.
No, I always am open to sharing as much as I can. I really work on how much I share, though.
Yeah, yeah, I got it. Um, but what else do you? We have some little time here yet, so let's like. You want to do a spin on some more stories? You want to tell? Is there any stories you want to like share with us? Could be about your Uber, could be about your dating, it could be just about going to the store, or anything that you want to share. You want, the listeners to hear about your experience being out there in the mainstream, doing your thing.
Well, I can't say that I have any stories I could directly say, but I can emphasize like what makes it enjoyable for me to always walk outside. And in my belief that humans have existed for 6 million years,
Mm-hmm.
from what I do believe, and for that large chunk of our history, we've been outside. We've been outside. We've been surviving. We just been moving around,
Mm-hmm.
and just by walking in the park or just walking to somewhere, it doesn't matter where, that you just don't think too much about the people in the area, don't think too much about the vehicles around you, don't think about all any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the actual nature, the trees, the sound of water. Even I turn on lo-fi music, that
Mm-hmm.
new age chill music. I turn on lo-fi on my external speaker, and I just enjoy that atmosphere, and it makes me reconnect to makes me reconnect to my origins, which is
Mm-hmm.
like being just a simple human who wants to just help people and whatnot, even though it's a huge flaw for me to always help people when I can't help myself.
Right.
And that is a very hard
But you
thing
are
for
helping
me.
yourself.
Oh
You
yeah,
do you're doing a lot for yourself.
right. And and it is still a hard journey here and there. I still will have moments where I do randomly lash out or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but as I keep saying, the Stockdale paradox. First off, it was named after U.S. Navy Admiral James Bond Stockdale. I just find it interesting. He has James Bond
Oh
Stockdale.
yeah. Maybe that's where they got it from, you think?
Maybe. Well, that's where the paradox came from,
Yeah.
because he coined the idea where it's like you could be it's like you accept your reality, but it doesn't mean that it is the end game.
Mm,
It's
gotcha.
like you accept where you are in, you accept the hardships, the crisis, whatever it is. But if you lose focus on what it is you need to do for yourself, then you're just not going to succeed. And I'm still not going to lose focus on myself. I'm going to have downfalls. That lift kicking me off the platform,
And we all
so
do.
be it.
Hmm.
Yeah, so be it. There are many drivers who has gone through the same thing as I have. I'm not going to be complaining about it because there's no way to fight it. If you want to complain about something but you can't change it or unable to change it, why complain?
Mm. It's very good. Well said. But you're on your roll. You're on a roll. What else would you like to share? How about your dog? How many pets you have?
I have one dog and
Yeah, 'cause you
she's a
talked about your dog.
Labradoodle. Yeah.
Oh, oh, we should have had her on today.
Oh, well, I can't bring her to the library,
Oh.
sadly.
I was going to ask you where you were today.
Yeah, I'm actually in a library booth right now because like
Very nice.
my house, it doesn't have that much privacy, so it's like this is the only way I
Okay.
can.
Okay. Yeah, this
But
works. Yeah.
yeah,
Nice.
but I've been taking my dog every day, almost out every day, but she
Hmm.
is always next to me. I could just sit outside and she's just next to me. She could be inside if she wanted, but no, she's next to me. I'm in bed and she always has her body somewhere pressed against me. Like she always wants a
Aw.
small part of her body pressed
Yeah.
against my body.
Yeah. She's there
Around like
connected.
around 7 o'clock in the morning. This is consistent for her, which is surprising. She will just like wake up, stretch, and then try to crawl over to me, give me morning kisses at the same top of the hour, 7 o'clock.
Oh, she knows
It's
how to
like,
tell time.
huh, apparently.
Aw. So
It's
Jason, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
One thing I will say is
Talk.
unfortunate that
Go
so
ahead.
one thing I would say is the unfortunate thing that I was supposed to get my dog a haircut last time, but the person who booked it did not book the haircut. So it's like I have to wait another week right now
Oh God.
for my dog to get a
I
haircut. Her
I
hair's
get
getting
that.
shaggy.
Yeah, I have that. I have two Maltese, and yeah, when they need the haircut for some reason, it's like us. It's like we realize they need this haircut, and it's like, oh, we should have had that done like 2 weeks ago. So now that you have to wait another week, it's like, oh my gosh, I get it. I get it.
Well, it's because he just kept rebooking the
Yeah.
same thing, but not
Oh,
confirm what I want to add to it. So
gotcha.
just rebooking the same appointment. It's like that was like,
Interesting. Anything else, Jason, you would like to share with us about your journey, where you're headed, what you're doing, your plans? I think you kind of covered it all.
Well, I do. Well, as far as like plans, I do want to do like content creation, as such, and that's
Hmm.
where like teaching the people on the spectrum comes into
Hmm.
play, and teaching neurotypical help to give us the help that we need.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
biggie because that's kind of why we talked about coming onto the podcast as well, because we want your opinion, your idea and what you're going through and you know, what we could
yeah,
do. Yeah, and what you
and
can
and
do.
of course, yeah, and
Hmm.
of course, that's going to take a while for me to properly plan out and
Hmm.
to like make sure I make a proper, clear cut video that's not going to take 45 minutes of rambling
Yeah. Yeah.
because I do that and
Well, we
I
all do.
try
I
to
mean,
fix
it's
that.
comes with our nature.
Yeah. But at least like I do hope to make improvements with
Yeah,
that
no, you're doing
especially.
well. You're doing well, and you're on your way. And it's all good stuff. And
Yeah.
I want to thank you, Jason. If there's anything else you want to talk about quick, we can roll in there. We got a little time. If not, we're gonna
Um
you know, let
I
me
don't
know.
think there's any I don't think there's anything else I want to share, but other than a quote which I have which we did talk I did bring up a quote last time
Yeah, I think we did.
because of
Well,
that
I
error.
probably yeah, that's why I said there was yeah. Tell me that
Yeah.
quote. There was so many things. I'm like, wait, what? You told me some other
So,
stories too that were really good. I wanted to, but you didn't tell me, so I'm not gonna pry them
oh
out
yeah,
of you.
I have a lot that I can
I
share,
know you
but
do, but I was like, I don't know, told all those stories. But go ahead.
anyways,
Let's hear that quote.
from Temple Grandin, she has said, I don't want my thoughts to die with me. I want to have done something. I'm not interested in power or piles of money. I want to leave something behind. I want to make positive contribution to know that my life has meaning.
Very nice. Very good. Says a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Jason. And it was great talking to you again.
Same here.
We will be in touch. Anything new comes along, send me that email if there's anything. And good luck with your career and going forward.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. You have a good day. Don't go
You
nowhere.
too.